Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce. We just had a massive round 7 in the AFL, ready for round 8. But the people of Tasmania, we've got a big following down there, Sauce. They're ready for 2028 when Tasmanian become the 19th AFL side.
Yeah, Pez, when Jack Riewoldt, age 39, number 1 recruit. You heard it here first at the Behind the Boundary podcast.
No, you
Bang.
didn't. That's ridiculous.
Number one pick.
Number 1 recruit. No.
Number 1 recruit. Him and his son playing. I don't know if he has a son or not, but father-son.
Oh, well, you probably should have checked that.
Yeah.
Riewoldt's got a couple of sons, though, and the new father-son rule for Tasmania seems like it might be pretty good for them.
Everyone's saying that, but it makes no sense. So for anyone who doesn't know, 100 games entitles you to father-son, and if you are born, I guess, and you've grown up or you're associated with Tasmania, I think that's a bit of a reach, you will be qualified to play for the Tasmanian side as the father-son recruit, but I just don't see it. You know, you look at Jack Riewoldt, he's got Nick Riewoldt, he's got 2 sons. They're not going to want to play for a side that his dad never played for, that they've never lived in, the state. They're going to be playing for St Kilda.
Oh, you wouldn't know.
I do know.
No, you don't.
They're more the Texans in Texas.
Look, and it's hard to say because there's been some amazing father-son pickups and they've had to change the rules because the draft was just a little bit unfair with some of the clubs getting...
What do you mean, Pez? I can exchange 5 second-round picks and then it equivalents to a number 1 pick and I can get Will Ashcroft. That's a bargain.
No.
That works out accurately.
With the new thing, they're improving it every time. And with the father-son, you don't know if the kids are going to be any good, you know? It's pretty hard to break through and make it into the AFL. With a 19th team and then maybe a 20th in years to come, it'll be a little bit easier. But I do believe Tasmania deserve to have a side.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it should have happened before Gold Coast and GWS.
And we've talked about this a couple of times, Pez. They're already an established market in Tasmania. They know they've got an absolute clear winner. And the Gold Coast and the GWS Giants, it's one of those things that there wasn't a market there. If it fails, they always had Tasmania to fall back on. And at the moment, there's no indication that either have failed, despite Gold Coast's their on-field success not really being there, and GWS's fan base not really being there. So they haven't failed yet, but they've always got the Tasmanian market to fall back on because we know that will be successful.
But they're trying to do equalisation in the competition, which was starting to work okay, but with 18 teams, it's really hard. And you nearly had 2 100-point smashings on Saturday night, where Carlton beat West Coast by 108 points. And then Melbourne towed up North by 90 points when North kicked 3 of the last 4. So you watch there on Saturday night and then they announced Tasmania during the week and you're like, well, is there enough talent to go around to make every single team competitive how they want with the draft system and concessions and everything that's happening?
And possibly not, Pez, especially when, you know, those 2 games that you spoke about, we're not really talking about top versus bottom sides. We're talking about teams that are sitting, you know, Melbourne in the top 4 and Carlton are in the top 8, and they're smashing the 2 bottom sides by 100 plus points. So you probably haven't got enough talent, but, you know, in terms of in the next 3 or 4 years for them to be able to set up those things, there's a lot of academies being set up everywhere around so they can, you know, filter talent through. Again, I don't believe there's enough talent to stretch it out, but it's good for the AFL. It's good for Tasmania. It's good for, you know, the Tasmania as a state. They're getting a new stadium. It's going to be amazing down there. So
any names that you like?
Tasmanian moss.
Moths?
The moss.
Oh, the moss.
Very green down there.
It is green.
Very green. They're very slippery. Is moss slippery? Yeah. And then
moss is very slippery.
Very slippery.
Do you reckon they make the jumper out of a little bit of moss and they just apply moss to them beforehand?
They can't get tackled. They can't get tackled. What a tactic. And then, you know, you go down to play in that stadium there. It's pouring with rain.
No,
it's windy.
It's got a roof.
Hey?
They're going to put a roof on.
No, but all the moss from the top will be there, so that it'll come down and moisture. It'll be really,
moss condensation or something.
Moss
what
condensation.
A conversation we're having.
You got any names for it?
I cannot believe.
Warner Brothers won't let them have the Devils.
Yeah, but it's an Australian animal.
Have you seen that they're
I know.
They're speaking about it?
Isn't that weird? The best tweet I saw actually was Warner Brothers having a bit of a thing with, and Chad Warner and Corey Warner, the Warner Brothers,
yeah,
they're not happy with the Devils.
What they should do is Tasmania should lean into it, and they should approach Disney and call themselves the Tasmanian Mickey Mouses, and then just push that as a link deal like Marvel has done with it, and just like promotion, and Warner Brothers can be like, you missed out.
Ridiculous. I don't
Have you got any names?
I don't mind about the names. You got the Tigers from the old Tasmanian cricket days as well. So you got
it's
the
already
Tasmanian
associated.
Tigers.
Jack Jumpers, you can double up.
Tigers. You could do the Jack Jumpers, and Jack Rewalt could go down and play, and that would be really good. I'm not too worried about the name. I really want a good jumper. I really want a good AFL jumper.
They had a great.
And
they have a
green.
great one. They have a great. Their VFL one. Have you seen that one?
It's got
the actual shape of Tasmania with a giant T in it.
You like that one?
Yeah, I do like.
There's
that.
been a little bit of debate on Twitter with that one. But
So will they be our first green team?
they have to be. No other teams really use green apart from
The
Fremantle.
Mosses. You heard it here first.
The Mosses.
It's going to get off. It's going to get off.
Tasmanian Mosses, get around it. Everyone else has been talking about it though, so let's stop doing that because we're here for some other things, some more important things as well, Sauce. So anything else you liked in round 7?
I liked the emergence of, I guess, we're third into the season, a third of the way into the season, and some definite teams that I think really, we're starting to learn a little bit more about. I was pretty impressed with, just without going into any detail, I was impressed with Port Adelaide. I was very impressed with the Giants with their 1-point victory. Very concerned for Sydney. I know they've got a lot of injuries, but a little bit concerned for them. And I was actually pretty impressed with Essendon as well. Despite that first quarter, I thought they showed a lot of improvement not to get blown out by 100 points.
Fans will be happy to hear.
They were the things I was impressed with.
They'll be happy to hear that.
Sorry. My favourite team of all, the Gold Coast Suns.
I was about to say what I wasn't impressed with was Richmond's second half because they've got talent, but who was it? Damien Hardwick. He was trying to play Marlon Pickett up forward in the first half, and then he made the move, put Marlon Pickett up on the wing, and he tried something different. And I thought, you know what, they're gonna turn it around here, and then Gold Coast dominating. I know that Tigers fans will say we don't like to play under the roof and we don't like travelling to Marvel.
How's Hardwick coming out and saying that? Come on, Dimmer.
You're in Melbourne for one. Gold Coast are travelling. They hate playing at Marvel under the roof. They fall over in the last quarter in every single game they play, and you're going to have that performance in the second half. That's
Richmond.
It's shocking. Cross the
line.
line.
As a Geelong supporter, Richmond complaining about the venue they're playing in while still playing in Victoria. You've got to be kidding me.
Against an interstate team.
Got to be kidding me.
You pencil that in for a win every day of the week.
So
Tom Lynch or not. Tom Lynch, most important player for Richmond, by the way.
The Gold Coast Suns. Yeah, you're right. You are correct there.
I know Jared Witts is really important for them, but Took Miller's out. Their second most important player at Gold Coast. So I thought, you know what, Richmond are going to win easily. And they scored 48 points under a roof.
They would have let under a roof. Poor kicking is poor football, but 18 shots to 17 shots, they still scrape him with a win there. They need to be taking care of those sort of games, especially when you're sitting fourth from the bottom, and at the moment North Melbourne's above you. Like, it's not good enough for Richmond, and especially when you've got there are some very, very highly paid recruits, and you've tied up that salary cap for the next 7 years. Concerning signs for Richmond.
Got to be doing something, and it's not happening because you've got a couple of older players on that list. You're obviously not going to be anywhere near September this year, so they've got to keep going there. But the main event...
The main event, Pez, was sorry to interrupt, the main event was exactly what stemmed from our conversation last week. I bet you if Adelaide could have their three-quarter time huddle again, they would have gone out to the umpires and said, hey guys, we don't want this amount of a lead. Can we please have a 10-point lead? Go back and concede some goals.
What did they lead
Matthew
by?
Nicks lost
They're led by 16 points.
Yep, 10 points we said. 10 points. 10 or 30.
They should have said, can we just
please,
take a couple of goals
leak a couple of goals?
That was intense. And Collingwood actually against odds because there were a couple of blatant free kicks that were missed from umpires.
How's the one in the goal square?
How can you not see that?
And then the next play, they get the one where he's not facing the footy and he touches his head a little bit.
It was bad, and Collingwood over the line, still side bottom running on that wing all day and marking the ball and kicking a really important point. Adelaide started on fire, Sauce, and Collingwood led for 22 seconds in the entire game to win by a point.
Some blokes would be very happy with leading for 22 seconds, Pez. But it was, they happen to do this every time. I was in a pub in Yarraville watching the second half of the footy after the Geelong game, and there were so many Collingwood fans going into that third quarter that were still so confident, despite them easily playing some of the most putrid football in that first half.
Some of the most confident fans you'll ever see.
Oh my God. No, but normally Collingwood fans, whilst they do back their team, they would have been like, oh, no, we're done here, 5-day break. They start making the excuses. But, credit to Collingwood. And they were pumped on the bench to win that game.
Everything in the first half lined up to an Adelaide win.
Everything.
25 points up. They should have been more up. Inaccurate kicking. And
kicking bad football.
Collingwood just were able to do it. Nick Dacos didn't even get 30 disposals like he usually does. Didn't kick any goals. So
Ben Keith's done his job there.
You're ready to go. It's
Though
59-58.
another crucial goal by Dacos. Another crucial goal that he sets up just through, again, what we spoke about last week, running through, not cheap kicks, continuing that chain of handballs, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, loving it.
Yeah, and that was round 7. Let's get into where we went right in round 7 for our bet slip.
Soft review. It's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
And here we are, Sauce, round 7. A bit of a turnaround for some. And it's up and about on TikTok. People are asking for everything. And we don't usually put out bets on a Sunday, Sauce, on a, say, Wednesday or Thursday when we record, because it's really hard with teams and things. And our Instagram was just flooded with messages. Boys, what do you got for Sunday? What are you doing here? I was on my way to my nephew's first birthday, so I was like trying to reply in the car a little bit and seeing if I could, see if anything I liked, but wasn't able to get much on the Sunday.
Yeah, it's definitely bad on our behalf that we give all our fans such a tease that we just fill their pockets on the Friday and the Saturday, and then we get to the Sunday and we just leave them hanging. And it's definitely not our intention, Pez. There's a lot going on in a weekend, and making those videos and making sure our bets are out there in time is quite difficult sometimes. But as you said, and as you alluded to, it mainly is because we just don't have the team list. We don't have the a proper weather update. There's a whole range of stuff that we don't have, and we quite often we talk about that in our pod, and that's just why the content isn't out there. But we've both made an effort this week to try and make sure that we've got some Sunday bets for our loyal fans.
Well, just so anyone listening and any new listeners that pop into the podcast and listen to you, this is the best place to do it, whether it be on a Thursday morning or a Friday morning, to listen to the podcast to see what our thoughts are. And then even if we don't have a bet on a Sunday, we still talk about every game. So we'll still talk about those in our bet slips.
Give you our leans, give you some of the things that we don't mind already.
Yeah, and Twitter at Behind the Bound is where you'll find any live bets or bonus bets that we throw out, and we just pop it up there so it's there before the game, and we can add it onto our spreadsheet, and that's linked to our Twitter profile for all those new listeners out there.
All those new listeners, Pez, and hopefully they joined up last week, Pez, because you had an absolute cracker of a game. It's about time, round 8. That's good for you to show up. I'm a bit disappointed you're not wearing the shirt, Pez. I thought that was the lucky emblem that you had going from last week.
Well, yeah, you gave the shirt. The shirt reveal's up there on TikTok as well.
Welcome.
And
I'll take half your units wins, please.
We're ready to go. The Pez dispenser, the little cash it in. What is it?
Oh, he's got it on. He does. He pull it out. There it is. I love it.
It is there ready to go. I might have to wear it every week, actually. But let's go through the games. We started on the Friday night. I went to this one at Marvel, St Kilda versus Port Adelaide, and St Kilda started on absolute fire. I just threw out a 1-39 St Kilda, Membry anytime goal scorer, Bradley Hill 15+. Those two legs were really easy to watch. St Kilda 1-39, you kind of thought, oh, is it going to be St Kilda 40+ early? Because they were dominating Port Adelaide. And then from quarter time, whatever changed, Port Adelaide just started dominating clearances. St Kilda still defended really well, but they made some really poor errors and gave up 4 goals from direct errors in defensive 50, and that cost the game. So I got a bonus bet back for that, which I used later in the week.
Yeah, well, you're right. It was disappointing because it was one of those things where that's an easy leg. It should have been an easy leg. Port Adelaide, obviously a team that have been inconsistent, playing away from home. They haven't been in great form early on in the season. People were calling for the head, so disappointing for you. Disappointing for me as well, because I had 2 leg same game multi, $3.10, and Mitchie Owens, him to get 2 goals. Too easy. I told you you'd get that.
Machito, yeah.
Machito. And then Rosie, 25+. Didn't get 20. Boak took a lot of those clearances and a lot of that, and St Kilda did quite a good job on him and defensively tagging him, not even tagging him, just to be with him, and at the stoppages they just took him out of the game.
In the first half, he was nowhere to be seen. But you did mention Boak, and watching Boak live at the ground, I was sitting up on level 2. The speed behind Boak for an older bloke in the AFL, just from point A to point B, he looked lightning quick out there. So he's in good touch, Travis Boak as well.
Definitely. Speaking of good touch, Pez, that was not me on the Saturday. I was pretty confident with Charlie Cameron to kick 3 or more goals in their absolute flogging of Fremantle, and everyone else seemed to get on the page, and Charlie Cameron, not to be seen. So just like me on Thursday night when you took your top off and your nips were out, a little bit distracted and couldn't get the 3+.
Yeah, the old bonus bet goes begging there. He got 1 goal in the first quarter.
Yeah,
I
look,
think
you got
it
the
was.
first goal of the game, and I said, message you, I'm like, 2 more.
There you go, 2 more.
And then I messaged you again in the fourth quarter. I'm like, 1 more.
Done. Ready to go. So I had a 5-legger here with Tab, and if 2 legs fail with Tab Sauce in round 7, you get a bonus bet back. But that didn't have to happen because I had Brisbane minus 12.5, over 148.5. I spoke about why last week. That was easy. Lockie Neal 20 plus, easy. Brayshaw 20 plus, easy. Ashcroft 20 plus, easy. $2.50 get. A couple of units on that was a nice little profit on the Saturday.
Definitely, Pez. All right, speaking of the other Saturday game, we had the Sydney versus GWS game, Pez. You had a bet in that one.
I did, and Hogan got a goal early, so I had a Hogan anytime goal scorer, Papley anytime goal scorer, and I was a bit nervous about Papley because Sydney were getting goals, GWS started off really well, Sydney took the lead, and Papley got a goal just before 3/4 time. I'm like, all right, Sydney need to win by 9 or more.
You were looking good early too. Sydney had control of that game.
Sydney are up by 24 points in that last quarter, and I'm sitting there going, all right, GWS can kick 2 goals, and I'm still good here. And then GWS just came back. Toby Green got to the final stoppage and had the final touches and kicked the goal, got GWS the win. So I lost the unit on that and turned it into a bonus bet, which I used later on.
The second collapse Sydney's had that's cost the podcast. The other one, they obviously against Port Adelaide, that cost me quite dearly with that last minute.
There's been a few swings, and this is betting source.
Of course.
Swings in units. There's been a couple of things that would have changed the course and made it a lot better, but we just play the long game and we try to profit as we go.
Keep on keeping on. And lucky I did because I had a nice little... I didn't actually. It was a close bounce back. I had Melbourne versus North Melbourne, betting that one. Jordan to get 15 plus, he got that. Langdon to get 20 plus, he got that. And got moving in the last quarter.
12 in the last quarter.
Got moving in the last quarter. And Van Ruin, 2+ goals, jumping on with our good mate Puntosaurus, following his advice, and
I think he was following you.
Well, we were following each other because we both thought it was there. And again, the week before, he didn't even look like he was there.
Is he the only forward at Melbourne not to get multiple?
Well, what's Melbourne doing? Why aren't they supporting this young bloke who clearly made their structure look great the week before and got a victory?
They started targeting him in the fourth quarter. Let's be fair.
Too late.
And
get the young fella early.
Grundy got in his way a couple of times and just went in front, took the mark, and Van Ruin, had a couple of chances there in the last quarter.
He's pretty confident with that bonus bet too.
He couldn't get it done.
There's nothing better than having a feeling or an inkling and then having out someone say the same thing. You go, oh, I'm on here. Your confidence just doubles.
Oh, yeah. And the next one, the Twilight, Bulldogs versus Hawthorn. I put another tab little same-game multi out here. Bulldogs minus 12.5, over 134.5. Ugle-Hagen 2+ goals at a little bit of value. And $2.80 all up that was. 1 unit on that. And I got that. Nice and easy. And
so was mine, Pez, because we said anytime you can get West Coast any team against West Coast with the minus 30 and beyond, you got to hit it and hit it hard. And we should have taken our own advice and gone the 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus, because 100-point drubbing. So I had Carlton minus 28.5, easy. Chera 20 plus, Pez, and you love this one. Oscar Allen, super easy. $4.32. So that was a nice little win for me, but not easy at all watching that fourth quarter.
3/4 tie.
I've never watched a 100-point win from another team and been so invested in the losing side.
Jesus, 3/4 time, no goals from Oscar Allen, and he turns it on for the Sauce.
Literally back-to-back goals in about 2 minutes.
And that's a $3.20 get.
That was a $4.32 bet. That saved my round.
$4.32 saves the round, and I just went really simple on this one. Carlton 40 plus. I put a couple of other legs in there as insurance, but Carlton 40 plus. It was $2.35 early in the week, and 100 plus would have gotten you over $10. But 60 plus would have been a good market to go on, but you take your money where you can get it. So I had 1 unit on that and profit there.
And the worst thing about that is Carlton have absolutely stuffed that West Coast line going forward now because they won't be down low below 30 anymore. So that value is probably gone. You're probably looking any value moving forward is just any team against them, 40 plus, and even still no real value there.
Yeah, you just have to wait and see now. To end Saturday, well, not even to end Saturday. I thought I was in with a shot with this little multi here.
Well, hang on, say probably your Saturday margin multi. You had a clever little name to it and everything.
Little Pez. Saturday margin
very
multi.
Happy about yourself.
Five games. I picked 5 teams to win by 25 plus. So Brisbane got it done. The Doggies got it done. Melbourne got it done. Carlton got it done. Sydney up 20. Sydney up 24. 7 minutes to go. Just kick a couple more goals, Swans, and get this over the line. It didn't come up, so I lost that. That was a bonus bet I had down from the week before. $10.11, would have been real nice, but missed out by the one leg, which means it's a loss.
It means it's a loss, and you can speak about your next loss there as well, Pez, with your mixed same game multis. Not as clever with the name that time.
No, this
Nah.
this was a big leg. So this was with my same game multi from the Friday night sauce. And I don't know if you had a look at what this was, but we'll just go through the legs quickly. Ashcroft 15 plus, tick. Brisbane halftime ML, tick. Brisbane ML, tick. Bulldogs ML, tick. Johannesson 15 plus, tick. Go to the next game, skip that one. Ed Langdon 15 plus, tick. Pickett anytime goal scorer, tick. Melbourne halftime, tick. Melbourne three-quarter time, tick. The only leg that missed out, Cody Waitman to get a goal.
There was the umpires not giving him free kicks?
No, well, they haven't been for weeks on end now, but I thought he might pop up with one. He didn't do it, so 343. My other bonus goes begging as well.
Yeah, it just shows you what happens when he's not protected. Anyway, get on to the Saturday game, Pez. Essendon versus Geelong. I had Jeremy Cameron for 4+ goals, and I was looking good early, Pez. He had 2 goals in the first 2 quarters. I was definitely on the wrong horse here. I should have gone on Cameron Hawkins for 5 goals in the first quarter.
And this was trend in season 2022.
Going
between Hawkins and Cameron.
You should just hedge your bets every time and just go 4+ for both of them, and every now and then they'll both get it. And that's again, this is the trend from last year. I'm on the wrong horse again.
On the wrong horse. Hawkins had 4 in the first quarter, 8 for the game, and go from there. So 3. He had 3 pretty early on as well, third quarter, and he had a chance, and he could have got it, but he didn't in the end. I actually threw out a live, which is why it's down the bottom here, back in the Bulldogs Hawthorn game. The live line, I couldn't believe my luck. Jump onto Sportsbet, -9.5 during that third quarter when Hawthorn were up by about just under a goal there. So Doggies -9.5. I thought they'd turn it around. They did. 2 units on that on Sportsbet, $1.85. So just added a little bit more profit.
If you can get a good team sitting down at halftime against Hawthorn, North Melbourne, West Coast, jump all over that third quarter live line, because it's the premiership quarter for a reason. It's when they start to come out with the proper game plan. They get roasted by their coach. They have to turn on. Easy money there, Pez. Love it.
Yeah, what's really important is to be watching the game and watching what's going on, because a team can be dominating and still not be dominating on the scoreboard. So you know that it's going to turn. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, we go to the Richmond Gold Coast. Speaking about not working out, I had 2-leg multi with that one. I was pretty confident Fioroni would step into that Took Miller spot. He got his 20. It wasn't easy, but he definitely got it done. And then I had Richmond just to win the game.
No chance.
Luck. So very, very disappointing with that one. 1 unit goes begging for Sportsbet with no insurance, obviously, with 2 legs.
I was watching this game in the car on the way to where I was going on the Sunday, and half-time, sitting there, and I'm going, Richmond are absolutely dominating this game. They are dominating, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to put Richmond just to win, and then I thought, nah, third quarter, they're going to come out. Dimmer's, he's made some changes already. I mentioned that on Twitter at Behind the Bound. And I said, in the third quarter, Richmond -3.5. I loved it. Put a unit on it, on the live with Sportsbet, and then started watching. And then I was like, all right, this is over, because Gold Coast just went bang, 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 and just blew Richmond out of the water. So it didn't work out in that occasion for me.
Definitely didn't work out, Pez. And speaking of not working out, Sydney, again, they've stuffed our round completely, Sydney. That's 2 weeks, not in a row, but 2 weeks this season that they've absolutely blown the bank. I had a multi, the Doggies, Carlton and Geelong, they all got it done. Sydney let me down with Bluebet, so I get a bonus back with that one. Oof. But that was a $2 odds one, 2 units. That should have been straightforward.
It doesn't even hurt that it's an upset. It hurts that they're in a winning position. 4 goals up, under 10 minutes to go in the game. You should never lose.
No, never lose. And yeah, I think that's the most frustrating thing as a punter. If you miss the mark and you misread it, fine. Like the Richmond Gold Coast, misread it.
Yep.
Right, but this one, winning position, up. You're at home. It's still a derby, but you're at home. You've got the supporter base. You should finish that off.
Definitely. I got greedy with one of my other bonuses as well. Geelong -14.5 over 149. Really like that. And then I added the Richmond game as well. And I was like, with Took Miller out, I've got to go Richmond at the line here. -14.5 over 151. Both of them didn't hit. So the $5.17 little bonus bet that I put out on the Sunday didn't hit either source. So my bonuses whiffed, but I had a really good round. I staked 9 units in the end, and I had a profit of 4.85 units with an ROI of 53%, which takes me to a profit loss of 3.02 units on the year with a 5.59 ROI. So not happy by my standards, but we are trying to continue to build that up. And profit is profit.
Yeah, profit is profit, and that's the best way to put it, Pez. I had a disappointing round. Lucky for that West Coast Carlton game, that really saved mine. I staked 4 units for the round and a profit loss or a loss of minus 1.68%, or units, sorry. For the season, still up overall, up 1.97 units. So I've got a bonus to bounce back this week, Pez, but we need to maybe look at your gambling problem and your Sunday addiction to live bets, because this segment went for way too long.
There's a lot of bets there, but we are an AFL betting podcast. This is what the listeners want to hear. And if we don't,
they want to hear winners. So let's make sure we get some winners this week.
If we don't recap our bets, we'll just be like every other AFL
loser
podcast out there. Right? So we want to be accountable for our actions, and here we are. We've got 5+ years accountability. It's all there for everyone to see.
Accountability and 5 years of profit, Pez. And at the moment, we're both in the profit. So if we finish now, that'd be 6 out of 6. And speaking great for Behind the Boundary podcast.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now Bex with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh yes! Yes! Yes!
Straight into the bet slip, Pez, and I'm very excited for this week. And before we get into the specials, Pez, because I did something last week, I was a little bit disappointed with my round. I spoke to you about it. I had a really busy week at work, and I'm not making excuses, but I definitely didn't get to do my research properly. So I took control of my own destiny this week, Pez.
Okay.
Booked out the conference room at work. Booked myself in for a 45-minute meeting. Put the headphones in. Meeting on the door.
Who's the
meeting in
with?
progress?
Yourself.
With the winners, Pez. The punting gods.
I didn't meet with you.
No, you didn't. But I definitely put in the research this week. I hope my work's not listening, actually. But geez, actually, George, scrub that.
Any AFL fans?
Let's just get into the specials.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang.
So if you are at Sauce's workplace, just do not take note of the last 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah, but definitely take the next half an hour, because that is going to be producing winners. And you know what? What a great event with how busy I've been at work. I had conferences all week, Pez, and so very, very, very talented to be able to do work and podcasting.
All right, here we go. Sports bet Friday night, same game multi, second chance multi. If any legs fail, it's got to be $2 odds. You get a bonus back. Tab have it for every game in round 8. 3+ legs, 1 leg fail, 5+ legs, 2 legs fail, and so on. Ladbrokes, you've got 1 per day, and you've also got the 4-leg head-to-head multi. And then Neds have the Friday night halftime payout if they're 12 up at halftime. This is the Carlton and Brisbane game. You can go on there. And then Neds have the little tokens that you can use. So you can use a multi-token, or you can use a same-game multi offer their source, multi-rescue. And anything else that you saw as well, or
just Boss Bet, Pez?
Boss Bet.
You love Boss Bet. It's one that I haven't really ever used before, but I got a little tweet during the week, so I looked it up. And Boss Bet, I don't know anything about it, but Boss Bet 4-leg same game multi Friday night. It's called the same game multi free hit. So they've obviously been listening to the podcast, Pez, because we keep getting criticism about it being a free hit, but it definitely is. But the best thing about Boss Bet is not their odds or their disposal markets or anything, except for the way they do their same-game multi-pairs. I felt like I was filling out a little survey. Who do you think will get 20 disposals? Who do you think will win? By how much? It was actually quite fun.
Just doing a little game, was it?
So I put one on just for a bit of fun. Yeah,
playing like a quiz show.
It was a little bit of fun. Yeah,
afternoon quiz show.
And that's what you like, Pez. You like to, that's the reason we punt, obviously, to try and make some money, but a bit of enjoyment. Make some enjoyment out of watching the game, and as well as the actual, stat analysis, I guess, of maths.
Exactly right. And speaking of maths, that's a great segue to what I want to say here. So
you're welcome.
We're talking about punters, and what I see a lot of on Twitter is people throwing together multi-bets. So you're throwing 8 legs, you're throwing 9 legs out there, you're throwing multi-bets, and the gambling industry and the bookies love you going with multi-bets. And the reason why is there's a misconception out there that it multiplies your odds. It doesn't multiply your odds. So for example, okay, and I'll take you through it. If you were to do, let's make it pretty simple, a 3-leg multi, AFL head-to-head,
yeah,
and you liked Richmond to beat West Coast, You liked Melbourne to beat Gold Coast, and you liked, say, Fremantle to beat Hawthorn. Okay, it comes together 3-leg multi at $1.96. I would say never ever do a multi unless there's a bonus back and you're trying to do something back with your bonuses. Okay, so the reason being it doesn't multiply over the 3 games. So if I put all 3 together, it's $1.96 all up. If I put $100 on that, I'll get $196 back. I'll make $96 in profit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Richmond play on Saturday, 1:45. If I put $100 on that, it's $1.08. I will profit $108. Make sense?
Yeah.
The next game is at 4:35, so the first game would have finished. If I put my whole $108 on, which is what I'm doing with the multi anyway, yeah? On Melbourne at $1.38, you multiply 108 by $1.38. I don't know off the top of my head. You get whatever. And then you go into the night game and you multiply whatever the winnings were from that by Fremantle's odds of $1.32. It is exactly the same odds. You get exactly the same outcome.
I was having a play then while you were talking, listening to your theory. I don't know if that checks out all the time. Does that work all the time? I just because I had then similar sort of thing. Brisbane $2, Melbourne $1.38, Western Bulldogs $1.52. And if I put $10 on all of them, I'm spending $30, and I would return $49 potentially.
No, you don't put.
No, so I would return $19. Sorry.
No, you don't put your 10. You don't put all the bets on at once. You only put the second bet on if the first bet wins, and it's exactly the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So you put your $10 down on Brisbane.
Yep.
You win $20. But if you lose that bet, it's like you lost your multi anyway. Yeah. So
Yep.
that $10 is already gone.
So
But
then
if you win,
so then the next game, do I double up?
no, if you win, you put your winnings on there. So you put that $20 on the next game. Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah. And then you can decide if something happens late in another game. So if the games aren't on at the same time,
Okay,
you
gotcha.
would never multi them together unless there's a bonus back special.
Well, that makes a little bit more sense. And I'm glad that I asked that question because I was a little bit uncertain about it. I thought you meant you put it all
And
down.
I can understand the confusion. You put $300 down if you're doing.
Yeah,
I only
yeah.
said $100 because it's easy to.
No,
work
but that's
out what
fine.
it
But
is.
if you do it in 1 units or 10 units or whatever, it makes total sense. So if I, for example, I do Brisbane, and let's say Brisbane gets up and wins, so I win $10. So now I'm putting $20. Is that right?
Yep, on your next game,
On my next
whichever
game.
it was.
So then $20 on that one. So $1.38 with Adelaide gives me $7.60 profit. Is that right? And then I'm putting
What did you put $20 on? $1.38.
$1.38. So Melbourne, and then I do the same thing over. Okay, yeah, that'll make out more money.
No, not more. The exact same. The exact same.
Okay. So why do we multi then?
Good question.
Have you got a multi this week?
No,
You better not.
I would have a multi like on Ladbrokes, like I have on the past in the podcast,
because it gives you insurance.
because you've got an insurance
Yep.
and you don't have that otherwise. But you can decide. So you can put your $10 down on the first Friday night game if you're going to put them all in a multi anyway. Yeah. And then if it loses, it's like you already lost your multi anyway.
Okay.
So it's done. And then if it wins, you can decide, you know what, I'm going to pull a few dollars back and I'm only going to risk this amount. So you get less in the end, but you can play around with it, and it's a better way to go about punting.
And I guess if that first leg loses as well, you've always got the option of putting double it down and winning your money back.
Oh, chasing.
No, but if you're relying on 4 legs anyway or 3 legs anyway, you have already done your homework for it. You're not chasing. That bet's already down technically if you're doing a multi. So you're putting a little bit more on there because you think it's going to win. Yeah, not interesting. Very interesting, Pez. Don't mind it.
Oh, well, it's just mathematics. So just
Well, that's actually really encouraging. It means you're going to have one less bet for every week going now, because last week you had 4 or 5 different same game multis and this sort of rubbish. Does that work for the same for player markets?
well, it
That
does,
possibly
but
Harder to manage though.
it does. But because the same game multis are in the exact same game, like you can't bet on Lockie Neal to get 25 plus at $1.20, and then let that bet finish, and then bet on Will Ashcroft to get 20 with the profit of that, if you know what I mean, because it's all happening at the same time. So they do love same game multis as well. Don't get me wrong, the bookies do as well. The only reason we bet on same game multis is because we get that bonus back, and we always put insurance in and do things like that, because it's just better for us in the long run. If we wanted to with our bonus bets, you can guarantee a 80% profit if you wanted to with no risk. So we don't do that here because we're an AFL punting show, but
Exactly right.
you know, we've both dabbled in the match betting in the past because it's pretty easy to do.
It's pretty easy to do. It's guaranteed profit. It's a slow burn, but it's not. It takes away the fun. Like if I'm doing it to make money, I might as well just go to my job and actually work instead of doing the podcast. But anyway, Pez, I'd love to continue this conversation off air. A couple of beers and. Because I'm interested in your thoughts. It's very interesting. But I don't know if our listeners are here. They don't want to hear about all this. They just want to hear about winners. So let's start things off with the Friday night, Pez. Carlton taking on Brisbane. $1.80 favourites are the Blues. $2 outsiders, the Lions. -2.5 is the line. Over under 171.5, Pez. This is a huge game for both clubs. Both coming off pretty decent sort of wins. Brisbane need to prove that they can win away from home and not a real premiership contender. And Carlton need to prove that they are a premiership contender despite a bit of a rocky last month. So it's really interested. The teams have come in, and hence why Carlton has come in as favourites. They were $1.90, $1.96. It was very much so even leading up to this. Pez, very interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Brisbane, they've won 5, Sauce. They had a slow start. They lost to the Bulldogs, as we know, and they lost to Port Adelaide in the first round. So they're the 2 losses that they've had, but they've had 5 really good wins and a couple against really good teams as well. So they're sitting pretty. 5 and 2, pretty. The reason they are, as you said, Rich is injured, he's out. Zorko's injured and he's out. Harry Sharp comes in. Motlop comes in for Carlton, and Zach Fisher has been omitted, which is an interesting one as well after a 108-point win, especially that it does say omitted there. So here it's pretty tricky to tip how Brisbane are going to show up under the roof. Is Charlie Curnow going to kick really accurately? Is Harry Mackay going to, blow up and kick 4 or 5 goals as well? We know that both of these sides on their day can play scintillating football. And it's just who is going to show up, who's going to want it more under the roof. It sounds silly to say that, doesn't it?
It does.
But if you want to go with one of these sides head-to-head and you're pretty confident, go with Ned's with the 12-up special. You can stake up to $250 and get that paid out at halftime if your team wins by 12 points or more. I am going a disposal market, so I'm going to go this sports bet special because it is the second chance multi-source. So you do guarantee a bonus bet back if any legs fail. And where I'm going is I've noted down no Daniel Rich in the back line, and they love to feed the ball through him. And no Zorko in the midfield, who's good for between 15 and 25 disposals every week. So I'm looking at 15 plus. I'm looking at Coleman. And Coleman from that back line, he's got a good left boot on him. He's at $1.35. He's hit 15 plus 3 out of 6 games. He's missed, and when he's missed, 13, 14, and 14.
Love that.
Okay, so he's quite close, but no Rich. Means they might feed him the ball more and get him to use it under the roof there. The other one I'm going is Zach Bailey for 15 plus disposals. He's at $1.33 and 17 plus in his last 4 games. He had a really slow start to the year and he's just starting to heat up. Again, no Zorko in that midfield, so I think he gets some more midfield time up there and he's looking to run forward as well. So I don't mind him for 15 plus at that value at $1.33. I had McCluggage in, and McCluggage just dropped as soon as Zorko went out. So he went from $1.09 down to $1.02. So he's not in my same game multi at $1.02. I've gone my man. I have to go my man, 20 plus. Will Ashcroft, $1.30 to get 20 plus here, Sauce. He's missed it twice. His first game he had 13, and in round 6 against GWS he had 19. He had 23 plus in all other games, and 1 out of 1 under the roof. He had 23 against the Dogs earlier in the season. So those 3 legs together, $2.15, second chance sports bet special.
Love that one, Pez, the sports bet special. And I've done the exact same, Pez. I really like Brisbane in this one. I think that, they're number 2 ranked in attack. As you said, they've beaten some, decent sort of sides. They normally travel pretty well to the Marvel. So, 6 of the last 9 they have won. So 6-3 at Marvel for over the last 5 years. So a pretty sort of a good record travelling away from home. They were disappointing against the Bulldogs last time under the roof. I do believe that they will definitely address that, and I'm pretty confident that they can bounce back, despite obviously being a difficult spot in the fixture with a couple of omissions and Carlton coming back from a big win at home under the roof, a little bit unpredictable. But I've gone a 2-leg same game multi. Pez Brisbane, just the straight out win at $2. It's a bit of a coin flip, Pez. You give me $2 at a team that's sitting, I think, at the end of the year as a premiership favourite and top 4. I'll take that every day of the week. Interesting enough, this game's at home. In Brisbane, it's $1.30 to about $2.60, $2.70, I think. So I'll take the $2 odds for the better team. And I've gone the over Pez, over 166.5. So normally at Marble, we expect a low-scoring game, but both of these teams are top 10 in offense, top 10 in shots on goal, and both teams are top 10 in goals scored. Okay, so they're high-scoring teams. I think that the Carlton, the last 3 or 4 weeks, have hit over 100. Brisbane definitely have. I know it's been a bit of a softball, Brisbane as well, with playing some lesser teams, but I love the value in this one, Pez. 2 units, $3.40 on Sportsbet. And I've also, Pez, gone with Boss Bet. Just a little bit of throw at the stumps, 1 unit. Just something really basic. A little one. You can't do any alternate loans or handicaps or any of that sort of rubbish. Just gone Brisbane, over 172.5, which was the natural line. Will Ashcroft, your man, to get 20 or more.
Really?
And I've gone Cameron, 2+ goals. As I said, a bit of a throw at the stumps, $5.10. Why not? Free hit.
It's called the free hit, isn't it?
It's called the same game multi free hit, so why not?
And you will hope Carlton, they had a pretty bruise-free game, but they do have to travel back from the west on the Saturday night, so they would have got the red eye in the Sunday morning, and they're playing the Friday night first up, so Brisbane might be in a good position come fourth quarter.
I hope so. All right, we go on to the Saturday time slot. We go Richmond versus West Coast in Melbourne. They're not playing at Marvel, so Dimmer will be very happy about that. 108 favourites are Richmond. West Coast outsiders 750, the biggest of the round. Minus 42.5 is the line, also the biggest. And $1.68, $168.5 is the over-under total points.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
Very interesting.
Some of the odds here. It started at minus 39.5. I saw it earlier in the week, so it's gone out a little bit. What's the line you reckon for crowd attendance here? That's going to be the most interesting thing.
Really? That's going to be most interesting?
Well, Richmond fans don't like to show up. They've got over 100,000 members, and West Coast aren't going to show up with the way they're travelling. Will they get 30K there?
My over-under would have been 29, so it'd be close.
Yeah, I don't reckon they hit 30K. But anyway, it's weird Melbourne weather this weekend.
It's yuck.
Bit of rain forecast. It's very cold. If I was looking at something, so I don't have a bet at the moment, I really was tempted by the Richmond total to be under 105.5 points. Okay, it's $1.87 at tab. The only thing is you can't put it in the same game multi, so you can't get that little insurance back. Richmond have gone over that total once, which was in Adelaide when they had to come back and they scored 108 points. But the Eagles have been scored heavily against, so it's always hard to bet against a low side, especially a depleted side like the West Coast Eagles, and especially that they're travelling. North Melbourne and GWS are the only teams that have scored less than 105 against West Coast. So it's pretty tough. But no Tom Lynch as well is another factor that the reason that I'm thinking about that and wouldn't mind that. But see what the weather's like. If it is raining and I can still get it around 105, 104, maybe I'll have a look at it, but no bet for me at the moment.
Yeah, Richmond do get Prestia and Graham back, so 2 big inclusions, but West Coast also get Dom Sheed, so a little bit of experience there, a premiership player and premiership hero.
Kicked a good goal at that ground in 18.
Was it a good goal?
It was all right.
It's not bad. West Coast, I bet Collingwood wished that they would have been up down by 30 points going to that last quarter. Wouldn't have mattered.
Oh, yeah, it would have been all right.
Yeah, of course. But it's going to be an interesting game. I haven't put a bet in this one, Pez, because it's Richmond have been. I've never seen the dynasty of the last 5 years or last 10 years. Richmond making excuses like they have in the last month or so. And I know they've got injuries and stuff, but that's just very un-Richmond-like. I don't like a lot in it. If anything, the line's way too big, 42.5. I probably would be looking at the Richmond 1-39. The last 8 or so games that they've played, that's been that margin. The 1-39. I think it's the last. I think it's 8. So 265 is probably where I'd be leaning, but no official bet for me. And as you said, when the most interesting thing is going to be the crowd, you're probably not going to have a bet in that one, Pez.
No, we'll leave that one and we'll head to Geelong where the weather probably won't be much better.
It'll be probably a lot worse, Pez. Geelong would be praying to play under the roof in that one. We head to Alphabet Stadium, of course, Pez. Geelong taking on Adelaide. $1.19 favourites are the Cats. $4.55 outsiders, the Crows. Minus 29.5 is the line. Over under 165.5, Pez. Geelong basically played a quarter of footy last week, put the queue in the rack, and that's about it. Adelaide had a really tough one and a heartbreaking loss. I'd be interested to see how they respond travelling away. Not only to interstate, but to down the highway to Geelong.
Yeah. And Geelong showed the other Saturday night when they played against Sydney and absolutely demolished them what was going to happen. You'd be more confident that Geelong were going to have a comfortable win if Adelaide actually got over the line last week. It's weird to say that you've been in bounce back spots in AFL and all of that. I don't like the ins for Geelong. Now, on the podcast over the last 5 years, I've been saying, yes, Geelong should have always gotten a ruckman. And then they finally got a ruckman. They got Segler. When Segler came into the side earlier this year, it was horrible for Geelong's midfield. They looked slower. He wouldn't compete. He wasn't mobile around the ground. And him coming in is not good, because I don't mind Blixarves and Stanley in the ruck in 2023 with how they've been going, because they can act as that fourth midfielder as well and get that run going the other way and still take intercept marks there, Sauce. So because he's in there, the only thing I'd be tempted with is the line of Adelaide, which are 29-30 around there, or the Cats 1-39, because I don't think they lose at home against the Crows, but I don't think they flog them like they have in the past few weeks to other clubs. So no bet for me at the moment, but with Segler in there, the 1-39 for Geelong is tempting.
Yeah, it's really disappointing that De Koning's going out with that injury. He was fantastic in the ruck, Pez, last week, which is very, very interesting for him going in there as, one of your elite young backmen, and to see them experiment with that against the long-haired freak that is Essendon's hero at the moment. He did really well, but I'd be cautious about that line, Pez. Geelong's covered the line in 8 of its last matches at Alphabet Stadium, so they get the job done there pretty decently. I've gone a 3-league same game multi, Pez. I've gone Max Holmes 20 plus. I've done it with Neds, sorry. So I've got a 3-league same game with Neds with a same game multi cover. Max Holmes to get 20 or more disposals. He missed it last week by 1, Pez, but he's upped his centre bounce attendances by 10% last week, and increasing that gradually. I think that's where they want him. They saw him playing a lot in there towards the end of the year. Hardball player. I think he absolutely gets a heap of the pill this week. I've gone Geelong plus 10.5, the alternate handicap, just as my my safe sort of leg. I don't think they lose the game, and if they do lose, Pez, it's not going to be by a lot. I've gone for my last leg, Pez, probably the riskiest one. Pez, is not only because of the weather, but because of the fact that so much attention's been going on to the two forwards in terms of Hawkins and Jeremy Cameron. But one of the people that have slipped through the cracks a little bit is Ollie Henry. So I've gone him for 2 or more goals, Pez, because he's sitting about 3.3 shots per game. In the top 25 of shots on goal for teams played at 7 games, he sits 25th. Only team to have 3 players in the top 25 of shots on goal, and he is absolutely dominating. Not dominating is probably a wrong word, but he's absolutely getting a whole lot of looks.
Benefiting
Is the right word, from the number 1 defenders and number 2 defenders going to those. And I think that he's able to do it. He seems to get pops up some really great marks. He's very selfish. Doesn't like giving off the pill, so not like Tomahawk or Jez. So I've gone 2 units with that one, Pez, with Neds, 351, and I don't mind watching that on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, you can do that with the weather and the twilight.
The weather's the trouble in that one.
The twilight game will be the good one, because that's in the Gold Coast, and doesn't the Gold Coast have some really beautiful weather this time of year?
Still be dewy.
Stewie Dew, yeah. He's the coach, yep.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one, Pez. Gold Coast in a really good spot, coming a win down in Melbourne. Despite it being at Marvel, it still counts as a win in Melbourne.
2 in a row.
Someone might want to tell Richmond that. 2 in a row in a great spot, coming home against Melbourne, a team that had a pretty bruised 3 week last week. So Gold Coast outsiders 298, 138 favourites are our Ds, minus 17.5 is the line, over under 165.5, Pez. This is going to be an absolute cracking game for the twilight spot.
Yeah, it can't keep happening. We spoke about your man earlier, Van Ruin, and how he didn't get his 2 goals. But Josh Schache has been omitted, and watching him play in nearly 100-point win and struggle, it's got to be career nearly over for young Josh Schache, who was very promising when he first got drafted. But Harrison Petty comes in for him, and he'll do a better job. Lockie Weller goes out injured as well. So no Took Miller. No Lockie Weller, who has a lot of good run for the Gold Coast when they're up and about. Jared Witt's the only thing. But Jared Witts is going to come up against Brodie Grundy and Max Gawn. So Jared Witts usually dominates in the ruck, but these other 2 behemoth ruckmen are going to, I don't know if they'll give him a lesson, but they will stem his influence in the game. I really like the line. in this one, minus 16.5 with Tab earlier.
Very short, the 16.5.
Yeah, and I think, did it already go out?
Yeah, 17.5.
17.5. So it might end 19.5, 20.5, whatever it does. But I've just put it in a 3-leg same game multi, minus 16.5 with Melbourne plus 16.5, and Melbourne in the first quarter plus 9.5, because I needed to make it $2, and that bumped it from $1.90 to $2. So if Gold Coast win the first quarter by a couple of goals, it's multi over. But I'm thinking Melbourne just come out and have a pretty comfortable win. If they don't cover the line, if they don't win the game, they were $1.40 earlier in the day. It'll be very, very surprising.
Yeah, it would be very surprising, Pez. And if any quarter they're going to do it, probably that first quarter, come out running, everything's high and they're going. But as we spoke in the pre-show, Pez, or not in the pre-show, but before we got into our bet slip, is that Took Miller's out. Like, he's their best player. No, Anderson's definitely stepped up there, but you know, they're missing some of their key parts and key part of their future. And, you know, Melbourne coming off a really, really good victory. Everything is going in the right direction. They've dropped a couple of games here and there, but they're looking in pretty good form. I think they see this as a challenge. They won't take Gold Coast lightly, and they'll come out and smash them. So I've gone a 3-league same game multi-pairs. I've gone Melbourne straight out to win the game. I've gone with lads, so I've got that same game multi-cover. I've gone Melbourne plus 29.5 as the alternate. So that's my free hit because Melbourne get that. Yep. That's pretty easy. And I've gone Fioroni Pez to get 20 or more disposals. Our man, he did it last week.
Just got it.
Very happy with that one. So that gives me two odds of 232, 1 unit Pez. And the second one that I'm not putting down, but I can guarantee will get up, is I've gone, I haven't gone it actually, sorry, let's be very clear about this, I haven't, is Van Ruin, 6+ goals, $81. Jump on it, Puntosaurus, all over it. That's the way it happens, yeah? We jump off them, we say what's happening with it, bang, next week, 6 goals. So I can,
the punter's nightmare, isn't it?
Punter's nightmare. So Van Ruin, $81, cheeky 5 on that one, and you definitely will be donating to Sportsbet or whatever you go with. So
well, looking at the ladder here, Sauce, we've got Collingwood outright up ahead with 6 wins, and then teams with 5 wins: Melbourne, St Kilda, Brisbane, and Port Adelaide. So Melbourne really need to come out and get the 4 points here, and less than 3 goal line. I'll take that every day of the week.
Of course you will, Pez. Interested to hear your thoughts in this one, Pez. A modern-day rivalry which is starting to develop all from a month of good footy that the Western Bulldogs put together. But anyway, GWS taking on Western Bulldogs. 248 outsiders are the Giants. 152 favourites are the Doggies. Minus 10.5 is the line. Over under 168.5. Pez, GWS surprised a few people in the way that they've come together with a couple of wins. Interested to see how the Doggies respond, going in pretty clear favourites into enemy territory against the modern day rival.
Yeah, down in Manuka Oval, down in Canberra. Nighttime.
Memories.
Very very cold over there. But Callum Ward,
very cold.
Callum Ward comes in, but the Doggies get Tom Liberatore back in, one of the best players to watch in the game. Not only is he a contested beast, but he used the ball really well, and he's a goal scorer as well. So. I've been impressed with the Bulldogs after their really rough start. They had an absolutely horrendous, nightmarish start to the 2023 season, and I think they've been building quite nicely and picking up a couple of wins. So they've got 4 wins so far. I think they make it 5 here against the Giants. The only thing standing in the way is a performance from Toby Green, 4 goals, 5 goals, and see how he goes there. But because I think the Dogs will win, I've put them in a tab special because I am going to go the 3 legs and be a little bit selfish. So Bulldogs to win, $1.53, over 139.5, because the last few games at Manuka, total points, 195, 158, 159, 123, 137, 169, 170. So I don't mind it to go over the 139.5 there. And Bontempelli was the best value disposals I saw in the market. 20 plus at $1.20. He's only missed it once this year, which was last week when he only had 19 in his 200th game. So those 3 together, $2.20. Chuck a unit on that and have an enjoyable Saturday night.
Enjoyable Saturday night. I think it definitely will be for the Bulldogs fans, Pez, because they are looking good. We spoke about this in the season. In the season opener, we were talking about if the Bulldogs put things together and they're well coached, they have enough pieces to be able to really, really contend. And we're definitely seeing that. They're absolutely dominating the contestant ball, Pez, and that's really concerning for GWS. GWS win most stats when you compare the 2 sides in terms of handballs, disposals efficiency fancy, all that sort of rubbish. But when you look at contested possessions, they're minus 8.5 pairs on the season average. So all the teams averaged out, they're minus 8.5 of contested possessions. They're losing that every week. And the Bulldogs plus 2.5. So I think that'll be amazing. They've got a whole lot of midfielders that can absolutely be very damaging in there, Pez. I've got no bet in this one at the moment, Pez. I'm actually waiting for that line to come in a little bit. I believe that people will believe into this rivalry and they'll start, absolutely believing the hype of the GWS. Minus 10.5 is a good spot, but I think it can actually close about minus 9.5, maybe 8.5. So I'm waiting for that. If it doesn't come in, then I will jump on probably the 10.5, but I think there's a little bit more value to be had, so I'm just waiting for that.
All right, fair enough. I think, contested game, you are right. The Doggies will get over the top of them there, and they've got a better forward line as well.
Much better forward line with Yule Hagen now, Pez. He's come a bit of age, hasn't he?
My man in the little same game multi last week. I like it.
You like it a lot. All right, let's get into Fremantle taking on Hawthorn. Fremantle have to see this as an easy victory. They're playing at home, Pez. They need to take care of business here. All I'm going to hear about right now, Pez, from you is about Fremantle winning. So $1.32 favourites are the Dockers. Hawthorn outsiders $3.30. Minus 18.5 is the line. Over under 165.5, Pez. Surely not. Fremantle can't disappoint again.
Look, you'd think not, but they've done stranger things this year, haven't they? But that's not bad head-to-head value there for Fremantle playing over there, considering that Hawthorn have decided to manage Giath and Luke Breust.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke Breust, he's still playing some good footy, and he still pops up for goals, and he makes the right decisions up forward. And without him up there, they need to rely on Mitch Lewis, who had a really good first half last week, but couldn't convert on the scoreboard. But Frederick comes in as well for Fremantle. I really like Fremantle to get over the top here in front of their home fans. Not to turn their season around or anything, because they've really stuffed that up in the first 7 rounds. But just to get on the board, get a nice win. I've gone with a 5-leg same game multi with Tab. With the 2 legs fail, you go. So you got to follow along with this one a little bit.
I like the excitement in your face. You can look at me like, here we go. Get ready, fellas.
So Fremantle to win. All right, so we'll chuck that in there. Fremantle first half plus 9.5. So they've got to be within 9 points. First half total points under 99.5. Total game points under 191.5. And Andy Brayshaw, 20 plus disposals. I think he gets that really easily. He's a really good midfielder. The only thing stopping him from getting that will be an injury. So all those 5 legs together, $2.20. If 2 fail, bonus coming my way.
I like it, Pez. I really, really like it, because one thing that we know about Hawthorn is that they give away a heap of the pill. They're sitting 5th at the moment for most possessions per game for the opposition. And what I like about Fremantle last week, despite their loss, there was moments in the game where you watched it and you thought, you know what, they've worked it out. They've gone back to their form from 2 years ago. They were using Luke Ryan a lot more. He had a huge spike in disposals, and that was one of the things we talked about. They're not really using him properly. It looked like during moments they worked it out last week, and I'm hoping with a bit of a softball there in Hawthorn that they continue to get Luke Ryan going and hopefully bounce back, and they might see this as a bit of a snapback place in the future. I've gone Luke Ryan, 20 or more disposals, Pez. And with my second leg, Pez, I've just power played it with Sportsbet. I got in early this morning, minus 16.5. The line's already jumped out to 8.5, so I loved the value there. As you said, for a Fremantle team at home, need to win, playing the bottom on one of the bottom sides. I love the value in that one. Those 2 legs, 248 with Sportsbet, power played it, just 1 unit on that one, Pez.
Yep, take that. Saturday, when we head into we could say, according to the first 7 rounds, our least favourite day to bet on.
It is our least favourite day to bet on, Pez, but I absolutely love the value in this first game, Pez. Port Adelaide taking on Essendon, and you know what, TikTok fans, there's a video coming for you this week, because I heard the way you were talking in the pre-show, Pez, and I reckon you got a bet in this one. So let's go Port Adelaide taking on Essendon. We head to Adelaide Oval. $1.52 favourites are the power. $2.53 outsiders, Essendon. Minus 12.5 is the line. Over under 173.5.
You got a bit of pep in your step there. I reckon you can go first in this one, because you seem very confident.
Very confident, Pez. I love the value in Port Adelaide in this one. I think that, Port Adelaide have been sneaky. If they were a Melbourne side, everyone would be talking about them. They've had some pretty impressive wins in Sydney. They knocked off St Kilda away from home. They're looking really good. They've been taking care of the teams they need to take care of, and we've talked about this a lot, and I'm sorry TikTok fans, and I'm sorry Essendon fans, but Essendon's still a nobody. Okay, they're one of those sides that you need to make sure you get your victories. They probably don't win many more games going forth. They'll beat the 3 bottom sides like everyone else.
You just signed your death certificate.
I have, but I believe Port Adelaide can get this job done at home, Pez. What I like about it is Essendon give away the 4th most in goal assists. They give the fourth most away in inside 50s, the 6th most in goals, and the 10th most, or they have the 10th defensive rating. Port Adelaide are looking absolutely amazing. They've gone basically from last to first in the last month in their defensive rating. They score extremely high. They're top 8 in offense. They're the top 5 in defense. They're top 10 in goal assist. Everything sits there for them to be scoring heaps. So I believe that they're going to win easy. I've gone a 3-leg same game multi. I've alternate line -4.5. Port Adelaide handicap alternate 159 over. And I've gone your man, Jason Horne-Francis. Were you booing last week, Pez?
No, I was going to bring that up after you bet. So, I'll speak about him after you bet.
So I've gone Jason Horne-Francis. He had an absolute ripper of a game, a contested beast in that first quarter. And for him to get 15 or more, you get some little bit of pep-up value because he's only sort of done it once. But I think they've worked it out. He's worked it out. He's
playing a lot in the middle last week.
Playing a lot at the middle. 2 units, 298. Lads, same game multi, 1 leg fails, money back, Pez. So love that.
Yeah, now, Jason Horne-Francis, I'm sitting there as a St Kilda supporter and they start booing him. And you know me at the footy and with booing and stuff. But I was like, this is a bit embarrassing because why are we booing this kid? Like, he didn't play for our club. North Melbourne fans, yeah, they can boo him when he comes there. And then after they boo him once and they've played him once at home, leave him alone. Like let him go and do that. Leave the boos for the really dog coward acts, which don't happen often these days anymore.
No, very rare.
But it's quite poor to see your club doing it, but it's not really, you can't take it to heart because you can't control other supporters, and every single other club source would have done it, and they're doing it because of the media outrage over this young kid who is going to be a very decent footballer.
Yeah, it's because he Nathan Buckley did it. He rigged the system, forced his way out, sooked his way out, and we'll never find out the truth about some of the stories there, but that's why. I get it, because it's not what you want to. North Melbourne are rebuilding. Everyone has, I know you hate them, but a lot of people have soft spot for North because they've been down for so long, but yeah.
Hey, it's 2023. I've been all right with North this year. I haven't said anything bad about them.
No, haven't?
No. Time's ticking, is it? Oh, you're checking your computer.
I'm checking to see when North are playing. They're playing St Kilda this week. That's why you haven't said anything yet. You're holding it in for your bet preview.
Yeah, let me go on my Port Adelaide Essendon
Told
bet.
you had a bet here.
Yeah, I've gone the tab special. I've just gone. I do love the line, but Essendon's this type of side who can cause an upset sometimes when they're not expected to. And this week, I don't know. I think Essendon fans are expecting them to win. They won at Adelaide Oval last time. The line's only 12.5. They've come off a flogging in the first quarter against Geelong, but then are meant to have played well for the rest of the game. Like, are they going to travel over there and win Adelaide Oval again? Jeez, I'm stepping over my words here. I've just gone Port minus 12.5. Port in the first quarter plus 11.5. Port in the first half plus 2.5. Port Adelaide to win. And Port Adelaide plus 22.5 for the game. So if that confuses the fuck out of you, I just had to put some of those legs in there just for insurance legs. And that's the only reason.
Beautiful. To celebrate, Pez is going to be celebrating with a Port when Port beats Port and Port and Port and Port. Is that right? Did I get all the important bits?
It's $2. It's very important, and there's a unit on that. And I'm done for the rest of the round there. So
yeah, I'm done as well, Pez. But we will still speak about the possible value in 2 of the other last remaining games, Pez. Collingwood taking on Sydney, $1.44. Favourites are the Magpies, $2.82 outsiders, the Swans, minus 15.5 is the line, over under 171.5.
The Swans.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done talking. I told you, I'm done.
Now, when you're done with your bet slip, it's kind of a little bit over, but we do have to give these 4 teams our time and now a little talk about them as well. Now, Kruger's been injured from Collingwood, and all we hear from Collingwood fans is they're missing 6, 7, 8 players, and they are missing players. And then when they get them back, they're a premiership chance. They're going to finish top 4 most likely, and they've shown that they can win the close games last year, and now they continue to show that they can win when being down at 3/4 time. They wouldn't want to make that a habit in the second half of the year, though. They want to seal the game before then. Corey Warner might come back in, but Robbie Fox is there on that ins list for Sydney, and Sydney have been really struggling.
Done. Bet's done then.
MCG, they played against Melbourne last time, another premiership contender, got done by 50 points. They just were nowhere to be seen. They came down to Geelong a couple of weeks ago, got done by 90-odd, and I just don't see Collingwood losing this one unless Collingwood are leading at 3/4 time. Then maybe it goes the reverse. But Collingwood should win this quite easily, but no value in it for me at the moment. We'll see what happens on Sunday or Friday night when the teams come out for certain.
Yeah, there's not a lot of value in this one, Pez. Probably the only bit of value that I would be leaning towards is the Collingwood probably 1-39. They don't blow out the Swans, I don't think. Collingwood will be in an unusual position. I think going into the fourth quarter, they'll probably be leading. So they won't really know what to do. They won't have the Collingwood army behind them cheering them on the comeback. They're already looking for the week after. So I reckon the 1-39 is where you go with that one, Pez. But Sydney, it's unfortunate they came off that grand final defeat, and they've just been hit with injuries, and it's disappointing because I think their coach is in a bit of trouble, Pez, because if they don't start responding and start backing it up, they're a chance to miss the 8. And I don't think they will. But a couple of they're in a really tough spot at the moment with travelling away from home, some injuries, and they're coming up some top 8 sides. A really difficult spot for Sydney supporters and their coach potentially.
Well, yeah, he's been there for a very long time, and he's been there before he started coaching because he was an assistant to Paul Roos. So they're sitting on 3 wins after 7 weeks. So they kind of need this win, but they're playing against top of the ladder Collingwood. So it's most likely not going to happen. So they need to pull their socks up because you got teams in the 8 there that most of them look like they're going to stay. So who's going to come out? You got Essendon Bulldogs and Sydney, the contenders to try and...
Essendon come out.
They're not in the 8 yet.
Oh, well,
they're 9th. So Essendon are out, but more teams need to come out as well. So you got Carlton and Adelaide who are probably sitting on the outskirts, and maybe St Kilda at 3rd as well, who are a possibility to drop out as well.
Yeah, interesting. Speaking of St Kilda, Pez, we get on to North Melbourne taking on St Kilda. $6.05 outsiders are North Melbourne. St Kilda $1.13 favourites over under 164.5 is the total game points. Minus 37.5 is the line.
Yeah, Charlie Comden goes out with an injury. Did you have a look at it?
No. Oh yeah.
Leg break.
Jesus Christ! I was watching.
I thought you were just going to be like,
I was watching. Sorry, I thought you were talking about something different. Then I was watching that with the game on mute in the background. I was having a couple of drinks, and we all went around the TV. There was 4 other people there, non-football fans.
You saw it?
Wow.
Did you see it live? Did you? Because they didn't show replay.
No, so I saw it happen, and then I went back and on KO replayed it back.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, that didn't look good.
It's bad, isn't it? What do
really
you think about that with the commentators protecting the fans or the viewers from the
we actually spoke about it around that. We were, as I said, we're having a couple of drinks. We actually spoke about it, how great it is that the AFL has really taken a strong stance about it, and despite the media pushback a couple of years ago and I remember actually what happened. There was a concussion injury from a Melbourne team playing over in West Coast. I think it was actually a North Melbourne bloke. I could be wrong. And he got hit so hard, and they kept showing it over and over and over again. And
his family
his family actually went to the AFL and go, "Hey, this is not on. Like, we couldn't get in contact with anyone. We couldn't do this. This caused so much, grief." And they went to the media outlets and actually got it changed. So I actually commend the AFL for putting up that stance, and I actually don't mind it.
So this is another one that's up in the air.
I actually don't mind them not showing it,
especially on Twitter, because they're like, you should see us. But if you are going to watch it, you've got Twitter, it's going to come up and pop up in a video anyway, and you're going to be able to see it.
It's not fair on the families.
The only thing is, you've got the commentators going, "Oh, that's just a gruesome incident. You can't go." They continue to go on about it because they have to talk about something because they're waiting for a stretcher and stuff. So it's a really hard thing to commentate when you're not able to show the vision.
Yeah, it is, Pez. But in this day and age, Pez, you and I have an argument, and within 5 seconds, I can jump on Twitter and prove you right, and prove you wrong. Like, you can go on there and just the basic internet and get that information. It's not great to hear. To me, it's really simple. Don't show the injuries over and over again. Show the streakers. It makes it easy.
They don't show the streakers either.
They don't show the streakers.
You want to see?
Sorry about that. Protect the families.
Source
protect
wants
the
to
game.
see the fellas out
Free
there.
Willy. Want to see their helicopter?
Free Willy. But you can tell that we care about this game.
We've done really well there, Pez.
North
Great job.
Melbourne versus St Kilda. Luke Davis-Uniacke.
Tell you that one. That one, mate. TikTok that one.
He needs to have a good game when he comes back in here. They've got a lot of players on their ins there, North Melbourne, and St Kilda a couple as well. So St Kilda need to bounce back after a disappointing loss last week against an away side, losing at Marvel, which they haven't often done in the past either. So really good opportunity, and a good opportunity if they're serious about finals to get a little bit of a percentage boost. So we'll see what Ross is really about if they actually want to, put Clarko's bruise to the sword and get a 40-plus point win here.
Do you think they'll do it? Do you think they'll get a 40-plus?
I am a long-running, lifelong St Kilda fan. So when I saw the North Melbourne line at plus 37.5, I didn't mind it. I'm not going to bet it, but you just don't know.
I really like the North Melbourne line. I'm not doing it with the teams. Last week they had, I think it was the 5th most oldest team out playing there, and they got beaten by 80-something points. So hopefully they put some youth through it. And I know they've been struck with injuries, but I actually didn't mind the line if I was going anywhere at the moment, and the list goes the way I think it may, and they get a couple of bit ins in, I would probably do the alternate line, plus 32.5. North Melbourne, $2.10. Try to get that $2 odds. Maybe that's where I throw a bonus bet later on. Hopefully I don't have any bonus bets because I'm going to win all my bets.
Well, if you're going to
that's probably where I would go, though.
If you're going to say that, if I was going to go anywhere, I'd be going to bed.
Are you not going on the game? Lifelong St Kilda supporter is what he started that conversation with, and he said the game's going to be so interesting he's going to bed. Tell you what, they won't be replaying that one on over and over again, Pez.
No.
Well, let's get on to the last part, Pez. We get into some of our cheekies, some of our multis. You've already spoiled the multi for everyone here on the podcast.
Yep.
I did put my blue bet bonus bet down, Pez. 2-leg same game multi, just Port and Fremantle, $2.06. I've got my 2-unit bonus on that one.
I should have done.
I couldn't. It's a bonus bet, so I don't even know how to split it on blue bet.
And that's the thing as well. When you've got a bonus bet, it depends on your strategy with it, and I could speak about this for 15 minutes.
We're not going to,
because
I want to go to bed.
So I'm not going to do that. But you might go lots of legs and try and hit something really good, or you might just go, $2 and go from there. But if we go cheeky.
Cheeky!
Sure.
Cozzy Pickett. First goal, $10.
You're putting it down?
No.
Cheeky.
That is really cheeky of you, Pez.
I'd recommend not to bet on the first goal scorer ever. But
what's the point of it? You just wasted 30 seconds. Here's my bet. Boom. You like it? Nope. You gonna put a bet now? Nope. Why'd you bother talking? Because you just put this little bobblehead there. You're a flog.
I just noticed I couldn't see him from there. But yeah.
I just noticed that I couldn't see him.
I don't know. It's late. Let's get to bed. Let's get to bed on Pez. Peace out.
Make sure you check us out on all social media platforms, all good podcast providers, Spotify, Apple Music. Make sure you jump on anywhere. Leave us a review.
If anyone's still listening now, they're actually like loyal listeners.
Commitment. We love the...
If you are listening on some weird website, which is like Libsyn or something, and you keep losing track of where you're up to, download Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We're on all the Spotify or the best Spotify apps, as Sauce just said. So you download that, you can listen.
So you're telling me on my mobile phone,
No.
I can download.
As soon as you pause it in Spotify or Apple, you can walk away for a week. You come back, you're up to the exact same spot. So I'd recommend that, Sauce.
That's some great advice. That's technology 101, isn't it? Just download apps that help you do things better and not have to live off a website. But anyway, make sure if you are, once you do download Apple Podcast or Spotify, 5-star review, Pez. Make sure you leave a comment. Pez is packed up. He's ready for bed. I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time.
Now you're gone.